The one track that finishes it all off. It is winner takes all tonight. There are no ifs, there are no buts, there are no ands. It is as simple as you win and you are champion. You lose and you find yourself waiting for another year for that chance. Welcome to the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. It is the world final of the Simify MX5 World Sim Series, and it's live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. The best that MX5s have to offer are here today on iRacing to prove that once and for all, they are the best. My name is Jake Sperry. Alongside me for the ride today is Ossian Puhaka. You got Mike Yao, who is out there on the cameras today, which are provided by Dougie Beard. But Laguna Seca is a name which in American racing history stands head and shoulders above everything else. Let's take a look at what makes this legendary track just so difficult and awe-inspiring with RGSRC Track Guide.
Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2.25 miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey Historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come.
There's a reason why all the time this circuit proves to be such an important bastion to get correct. Now, more than ever, Ossian, and one corner epitomizes that more than anything else than where we are today. And that, of course, is the fabled corkscrew.
Absolutely, Jake. And this is a familiar stomping ground for all of these drivers. Many of them have cut their teeth driving this very Global Mazda MX5 Cup in this very track, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, and now they get to visit here once again, but the stakes have never been higher. As for the corkscrew, it can make your race. You can make those brave passes into there, just like Alex Zanardi did back in the day, but it can also break your race so easily. And the most important sector in this track will be the one just before that. From turn 4 into turn 5 and 6 onto the rail straight, and then you come into the corkscrew, and that's where you get the run do it. Uphill, you don't have much power in this car, it's a very light car, that's where you make the passes.
Those passes are so important, and this is where we stack up today. This is the world final. 10 races, best 7 results have meant that the top 40 have jumped themselves in. These drivers will be gridded tonight by their championship position. Number 1 on the car indicates you start from pole. Number 40 means that you start all the way from the very back of the field. So that is where the work is going to have to try and get itself forward. It's not quite a 50-minute race. It's 45 minutes as is put on the clock here today. So they all know that they've got to be on it. There are no pit stops here. It is a fixed setup, as is per usual, using the advanced set. And of course, the spare cars are available if you run into trouble. They have over doubled the distance almost in terms of this race, and it's going to be down to who can manage this one to their very potentials. Ossian, over the course of this season, there have been some incredible drivers who've put themselves up at the very front, but there are 3 Spaniards who probably have themselves the biggest responsibility forward. You can even argue for Ade Koba, Fernando Antli, Jaume Dalmases, and Pablo Espes. How will they coalesce today?
Well, it depends if they have good collaboration between each other, because if they do, they can start and take away from the rest of the field early on, and that's going to be important. This car has quite a bit of draft, and it is one of those cars where battles can happen easily, so they have to have a mutual understanding of what is their pace relative to each other and not fight, but get that gap to the rest of the field, starting from Vladislav Shopov, Marcelo Pagnan, and everybody else behind them. And then they can decide the victory among themselves. They need to form a good lead group. And who is the man between them? Jason Cooper from UK. He is the one chance and the strongest chance to prevent a complete Spanish Inquisition here.
Well, you have to really understand what makes this series tick. And Jason Cooper has been the one driver who has stood up head and shoulders above everybody else. But there are drivers down the order who have had great chances and have put themselves into position. One of the drivers who maybe was looking like was going to start near the very bottom has made a great recovery through this season to get to this point here, Ossian, is Morgan Burkhardt. He lines up 11th here today, but he's shown over the last 2 rounds of championship running a 1st and a 3rd place finish. He could definitely make a challenge should the field not break up early.
Absolutely. I mean, may only start 11th, but needs to get those positions early on, needs to find the right group, and then needs to get in the front quickly, and he has a chance. One more driver I would like to highlight, an up-and-coming Finnish talent, of course. I mean, being a Finn, I know about the Finnish talents. Roni Mäntyniemi, starting in 9th place. I've heard rumors and sayings that he has a chance at the top 5, potentially even a podium.
Yeah, there are definitely opportunities out there in terms of where they go and try and get their points. There's been a drivers' poll, which has been close to 150 drivers who have cast their vote to think who is going to be the favourite. They believe that Jason Cooper is most likely to get the victory. Following that, Fernando Antli and Ade Koba. So those 3 are the drivers who are expected to be the favourites. And of course, there is a late replacement out there with Luis Suarez, who replaces Michael Elliott here today, who of course could not make it to this race being in the top 40. There's a 15-minute practice that's available to these drivers right now. That's what they're running through. The grid order is already set. So this here, Ossian, is the final chance for drivers to keep an eye out and go, right, what do we need to do in order to put ourselves in the best possible position for this race? Because this will be a lot more tactical with the almost double distance.
Absolutely. And this is the time when you just get settled into the track, get settled into the conditions, make sure that you are in the right frame of mind, test your limits maybe, and most importantly, test out the grip on the first lap. The first lap is going to be so important, and you just get yourself in that right mindset. The decisions have been made, the tactics have been set. Right now it's just time to get that mental focus, get some driving in. Just, I mean, the times here in warm-up, they don't really matter, so just get yourself in the right state of mind. I must say about the late replacement, by the way, Jake, let's hope that Suarez can get those tires to bite early on, otherwise it's going to be a difficult race.
Yeah, it certainly will do. And track conditions here today is 27 degrees Celsius at this moment. Not much wind to speak of. A fixed in-sim time of 10 to 8 in the morning for today's race. So it is going to be cold and it is going to be frantic. So these drivers know they're going to have to take those couple of laps to get the tyres up to an operating temperature. As we focus on Jaume Dalmases with 45 seconds to go in this practice session. And Ozzy, one final thing. Yes, this is a long race, but this is the sort of race that can't be won this early, but can be lost at the first run forward to the Andretti hairpin.
Absolutely. That's going to be so important to get through there clean. We've seen so many accidents over the year at the Andretti hairpin on the first lap. let's make it through that clean, and then you have time to make up those positions. Another very important thing, with the cold tires on first lap, do not run too wide. And I don't mean side by side, I mean don't run off the track. Just make yourself, keep it clean, keep it consistent, and get it going.
This, of course, will take us to the Simify starting grid for today's racing action here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. The title sponsor of the MX5 World Sim Series, Simify is an online web shop housing a vast array of sim racing essentials for the next step in your virtual career. From steering wheel seats and handbrakes to even the common sim racing glove, Simify ships worldwide and is available to be seen both in English and Espanol. Use the discount code MX5WSS at checkout to receive a discount on your sim racing purchase by visiting www.simify.com today. It is Ade Koba who will have the pole position here today with Fernando Antoli alongside him on the front row of the grid. Jason Cooper will start from third with Jaume Dalmases fourth. Pablo Espes makes it 4 Spaniards in the top 5 with Vladi Shopov going from 6th position. Marcelo Peñan has been quiet all season. He starts 7th with Lars Fischer equally quiet in 8th. Ronnie Mantignemi 9th and Adam Delmont rounds the top 10.
In 11th position, it is the US Hope, Morgan Burkhardt, starting alongside Adam McNally. David Chapman starts 13th, then it's Jordan Cevatov 14th, Chamishon Sampaio 15th, and Joel Singleton 16th. Ivan Brummer, David Morales, Oscar Pujadas, and Ari Hatter rounding out. Oh, here we go.
Here we go, just a 1-minute grid, so that's going to catch a lot of drivers out. We are underway here from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. 45 minutes to decide a champion, and a nice clean start by Ade Koba off at the front. He has known this circuit so well. They all hit the brakes and challenge. Big lunge on the outside by Vladi Shopov, looking to make progress early. He'll sneak around 1, that's Pablo Espes, but he gets around that fine. And a nice clean start off of all of the drivers in the front. Through turn 3, they will start to look, trying to fan out to single file. The first side-by-side is with Adam Delmont and Morgan Burkhardt, immediately looking to make moves in the Parallel Racing Group car.
Yeah, and you can see the flags there on the left side of your screen as well. A lot of nationalities being represented, but in the top 5, it's just 3 ones. Here we see side-by-side some moves early on, not going to decide the race, but very definitely Burkhardt looking to make it to the front, makes it now into the top 10, 1 position taken at the expense of Adam Delmont.
Yeah, and just there, David Chapman nearly got overtaken by Jordanin Svetinov, so that could have been really disastrous in the early stages. We go on board with driver number 10 here at the moment. This is Adam Delmont in the next-gen racing car through the dreaded corkscrew. You drop down the hill so significantly, and then off of the exit, you have to be alert because immediately following is the rainy curve. It's so easy to run wide through this section, as demonstrated just in front by Mantignemi, who's trying to stay in range of Lars Fischer. Few moves going, and 1 for the race lead. Search for the inside from Fernando Antoli. It's not quite there.
Very opportunistic from Antoli, and let's see if that is a warning shot then sent to Koba, saying that, look, I'm not satisfied with just saying behind you. I want to take that lead. I want to take the point. It's where you have the most visibility and you can control the pace of the race. What a move! Trying over-under to the inside, trying to fake it to the inside, leaving the room, not quite able to pull it off, but you can see Antoli has a whole bag of tricks on his spare seat.
I tell you what, he's racing like there's 3 minutes left. He's only raced as there's 2 minutes started, so he is definitely intent of trying to get to the front and defend from the front. Jason Cooper just behind was able to fend off Jaume Dalmases. Behind that, you got Vladi Shopov, who's gained 1 into 5th, Espes in 6th, Marcelo Peñan waits patiently in 7th with Lars Fischer in 8th. Everyone knows how important it is to stay with the train, and Antoli now is starting to have to look defensive. The 5-star motorsport car of Jason Cooper wants to get himself in the mix.
Yeah, I saw him in the turn 5 looking to defend the inside. And meanwhile, there is a move, Shopov and Espes. Espes looking to a Shopov into the corkscrew. Look at that late break lunge. And there was a bit of a checkup in front, thankfully not running into any of the other cars. That's one of the difficult things, Jake. So early on in this race, when you have a checkup in front and you go for that late braking move, you can easily, inadvertently run into the side of somebody else. Not even the guy you're overtaking, but the guy in front of that.
Yeah, it's so easy just to have that chain reaction and just managed to bump the car in front. So difficult that can be. We go on board with Vladislav Shopov here in what is 6th position now, because that's Pablo Espes who has got through him over the course of this lap. Up over the crest and down towards the Andretti hairpin. Ade Koba sets the fastest lap of the race as everybody now shuffles their way into the opening corner. Line astern it is, back to Mantignemi in 10th place. A gap slowly opens up for Adam Delmont right now of 1 second. He's got to hold on to that, and there's a spinner in the background. That's no good in terms of this race for victory for Ari Haro in the number 20 who's gone around.
Yeah, Ari Haro sadly has a bit of a spin. He's a very experienced driver out of Rovaniemi, Finland. He's a former Finnish championship finalist actually from the year 2017 in a televised national final, and since then he's been racing the MX5s a lot. Very experienced, but right now making a mistake sadly under these bright lights.
These bright lights are really huge, and Ade Koba will know that better than anybody else. Remember, he actually got a victory in the Global Invitational for the Battery Tender MX5 series, and on top of that, he didn't manage to take the top prize out there. It was taken by Pablo Lopez on his last to first charge. So there's a feeling for Ade Koba at the front of this field that he wants this victory. He wants that redemption from 4 years ago.
Absolutely, and when you have a bit between your teeth, when you have that old trauma, it just makes you practice even harder, because you know the agony of defeat. You know those dark days after a lost race when you think what could have been, what should have been, what might have been, what may you have done differently, and then make sure that you don't do those mistakes next time around. Shopov meanwhile puts in the fastest lap at 6th place. There is a bit of a draft train, so take those times with a pinch of salt in terms of overall pace, but the top 3, they look to be gapping each other a little bit, Koba and Tolly, and most importantly, Jason Cooper. I want to make a point about him. In 3rd place,
there's trouble! It's McNally and it's David Chapman, who have both taken each other out at turn 3. Out on circuit, they were starting to lose time as they were scrapping about, and just like that, they'll continue to bleed the places as they go through. McNally going to let that go in terms of the way that race has gone for him. He's going to redress the position by not overtaking, but look at them, they're now with Tero Tillis and Roberto Bruno.
Yeah, all the way down in 19th, 20th place. Here we can see the replay of what happened. So they are heading into the Andretti hairpin, already side by side. This is Martin Sampson, and just tiny bit of contact into the rear quarter panel, and that's about it. That such a front-heavy car and such a light car that even a tiny bit of contact can send you around so easily.
Yeah, up over the top of the hill then and into the corkscrew this group goes. Number 13 machine finds himself trying to chase. Kavisto's just found himself around. We'll take another look here with the Global SimRacing Channel replay. This is how it all came about with these drivers then in the middle of the field. This is where Chapman goes through turn 3. McNally searches for the inside, just the tiniest bit of overlap that pretty much said Chapman was going to turn for the corner no matter what, but McNally was there.
Yeah, and when 2 objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time, just bit of a miscommunication between these guys. I think somebody's speeding behind them, probably a lap car there, and you can see the battles here. They're trying to get back going. Delmont here looking to the inside of Sampaio, not quite able to pull it off. The Brazilian driver able to keep the 12th place, but in this pack, when you go for one move and you can't make it, then you have pressure from behind all of a sudden, and that pressure can come pretty quickly. Good battle here outside the 10th position.
It's one of the uniquenesses of that group. This is what's happened to Kalle Kavisto up over the top of the crest. So he gets into the corkscrew here, tries to turn, and then, it's just the tag that's there, trying to find himself an angle. It does all migrate over to that outside curve, which turns inside curve, so that's important. But back to the point in hand, the 2 Sampaios, Jameson and Enzo. Jameson the father, Enzo the son, one of the most unique teams out there here in this series, the father-son combination team here from Brazil.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. We had similar things in some of the other series when you have father and son or 2 relatives in the same team. Meanwhile, Sander Vaare there, very unlucky in the last corner. Just tiny bit of contact, and you can see after a very clean first lap, people are starting to go for the moves. People don't want to give up places. Here's a good battle side by side.
Yeah, and that's Chapman once again, who finds himself in the mixer at this point. Down the inside with, guess who? Adam McNally. So stories there. There's been a lot of smoke actually go through this section. So someone's had a rather large off through here. And I'm trying to work out who it is. It was Adam Delmont who found himself off the road. So Delmont on his own has spun the car, and that will promote everybody up the order.
Yeah, and just a self-spin. Let's see what happened to Delmont there. So a little bit wide in the previous corner, just attacking too much into the right-hander. You have to go there very fast, and the car's very light when you're going downhill. So I think just braking in a little bit late, going into the corner a bit too hot, just losing the rear end and spinning all the way around. No damage, which is good, but losing a lot of positions actually all the way to the back of the field.
Chapman a little bit different. You could see the damage there as it went through. Here are your leaders, though. Ade Koba, Fernando Anthony, Jason Cooper finds himself third. Dalmassa's in fourth. The top four have not changed positions. You can argue that the top 8 are all in line from where they qualified. And on the back of this group is, I would say, the unknown factor in Morgan Burkhardt, who will want his way through. Searching around the outside now is Pablo Espes. He wants 4th place on Jaume Dalmasses, who has to take the wider line off the corkscrew, has the inside for the rainy curve. This might let the top 3 break away here, and now here's the search at turn 10. Down the inside from Pablo Espes, the Wave Italy driver, forces off the road. Jaume Dalmasses, he won't take that lying down. Side by side for the race lead as well. Dalmasses back down the inside. We've got some great racing.
Yeah, we have some great racing up here. And look at this pack, and that is for the lead of the race. That's the lead pack we were talking about. It has formed, and it is all the way to 9th place. So the lead pack is here. Then we got Mantuniemi and the Sampaio father-son duo, who are a little bit further back. But these are the 9 drivers that are going to decide this race. And now it's going to be a playoff between these 9 guys on who is gonna drop from the pack. Because always when you have these battles, you are lapping slower than you would be on an empty track. So if a battle happens, for example, around 5th and 6th, everybody behind them is forced to slow down as well. And that can give an opportunity to the leading drivers to get away. You can see already a bit of a gap here between Cooper and Dalmasses, 3rd and 4th. That is one of the things we are talking about. It could very well be that Koba, Antoli and Cooper smell this chance and try their luck in getting away from the rest of the guys.
That was just a move there by Morgan Burkhardt past Marcello Pagnan in the SRC Movano Corsa car. So was very much able to take an extra position out there, one that will be very much needed at this stage. 3, 3 and 3. It is at the front as they try and coalesce back together again. Dalmasses with work to do. That gap now half a second to Jason Cooper will be a boon and a responsibility over the line. That was up at 1.1 seconds. So the fact that it's spaced out, they haven't fought. Jaume Dalmasses definitely has the turn of cadence here today in the Zenith Esports car. And in the summer of this season, Ossian, he was completely unstoppable with his form. He is someone who has been a little bit hot and cold, but I think he's now starting to find that consistency.
Let's hope so. This December could use some heat, especially around here with half a meter of snow around. But yeah, definitely someone, bit of a momentum driver then. But those are usually the kind of guys who can find that right space of mind in big occasions, and they shine under the spotlight. Let's see if Cooper can decide the race here. And once again, Antoli making those moves. And now I think that needs to be explained here. So the way you do that move is you look to the outside first, and then you hope that the guy in front of you keeps the middle lane and sort of doesn't really cover the outside off, covers the middle off. You look to the outside and hope that they leave the inside open, and then just before the braking zone you cut across to the inside, you sell them a dummy, and then you have potentially an easy pass to the inside. So he's trying to sell them a dummy, and he's trying to keep Koba guessing, and that is very effective against the sort of drivers who like to play defensive, who like to drive from the mirrors.
But he also has to remember, he's got damage to the front where he's been bump drafting. Here looks Espes once again to the outside. Shopov nearly runs into the back of him as they rush into the corkscrew. But Fernando Antoli is running damaged on the front. Not massively, has to be said not massively, but that will compromise him a couple miles an hour in the top speed department.
Yeah, it's not a big thing, but you can feel that, especially running up the hill in the rail straight and on towards the corkscrew, where you really feel that lack of top end speed, and when everyone else is faster behind you in the draft, that can make defending a position very difficult. Overtaking even more so. And it can be a mental effect as well. You start to push harder subconsciously when you know you have damage, when you know you don't have that weapon of top speed. So you push harder in the corners, and that can lead to mistakes.
It can. Fernando Antley, the only driver remaining at Obsidian Racing at the start of the season. It was 3 drivers. It was him, it was Ade Koba, it was Pablo Espes. Ade Koba moved to Simify Sim Racing, defending the line at turn 4. Pablo Espes for the Grand Prix GP Turn Racing iRacing Series moved to Wave Racing Italy to make that happen. And now as they cross the beams, a look to the outside as Jason Cooper on the inside trying to pick a pocket here on Fernando Antley. He gets to the inside. Will Jaime Dalmases try and push him forward up the hill? Yes, he will, in towards the most difficult one-line super corner out there. Gets it done. Dalmases going wing mirror to wing mirror up the hill. Look at Pablo go. 2 tires in the grass on the left-hand side, trying to take third away.
Careful, guys. 3 wide up here into the corkscrew. There's a bit of contact. Somehow they all make it through. Espes is third, Dalmases fourth. Antoli, he's been relegated from 2nd all the way to 5th.
And just like that, you'll have to regroup. You'll have the time to do so. But crucially, you've got to be opportunistic and take the chances when they arise. This is a tough circuit to overtake. Antley, desperate to get back down on the inside, finds the door slammed shut by Jaime Dalmases in the Zenith Esports car. And look out behind Fernando Antley, because Morgan Burkhardt is a driver on a mission. He is now up to 6th place. He's +5. He's the biggest mover in the group.
Yeah, definitely in this lead group. And you can see what happened there. Antoli trying to make an opportunistic move to the inside. As you said, he's an opportunistic driver, and he needs to be at this moment to regain his position. But I think he was a little bit too aggressive in the last corner, went for a bit of a desperate move and ruined his exit. And as a result of that, got a lot of pressure from behind into turn number 1, had to defend really hard, and now they are losing ground, 6/10 to the cars in front. That's not yet fatal. They can still make up that gap. But if Burkhardt is really faster than Antoli at this point, Antoli goes for a heavy defense, they have a chance to lose it all. Lose a chance at the podium, lose a chance at the race win.
And getting that World Sim Series Championship, the Simify MX5 World Sim Series Championship, the inaugural one, would be huge in the accomplishment list of all of these drivers. It's one of the few championships that you see out there that goes all year and doesn't follow the 13-week cycle that often is found in iRacing championships out there. That in itself makes it a little bit more special.
Absolutely. You can call yourself a champion of 2023. The world champion of 2023. No season 1, no season 2, 3 or 4, no asterisks. You are the champion of 2023, the best driver in the year. And that carries an absolute weight behind it. And that's what makes this series so fascinating as well. And look at Cooper, he has a great run for the lead.
Well, the question is, does he want to make that move or not? Ade Koba's been very happy over the first 17 minutes of this race to run roughshod at the front, but if you don't get that move sorted, Pablo Espes will take advantage, and he shuffles him out into the gravel and grass, and just like that, here goes Jaime Dalmases, sweeping around the outside, Cooper pays him back, round will go, Pablo Espes, his luck runs out.
Espes made a very, very aggressive move to the inside at turn number 2, the Andretti hairpin, just essentially grinding the side of Cooper. And then Cooper decided into the next corner, okay, well, if there's space on the inside, if you leave even half a car width, and you can see the replay here, then I'm gonna pay you back. And look at this into turn number 3. Cooper in the number 3 car, last moment moves to the inside, and just there's never going to be room there, Jason. I mean, previous corner, probably tempers flaring, but that was a move that was never ever going to work out. In his defense, I'm not sure Jason saw the car on the outside that Antoli was probably avoiding, Espes was probably avoiding.
Yeah, Espes was painted very much into a gap that he didn't want to be involved in. That much we can certainly say is true, but you have to say Jason Cooper's got to be more alert in terms of the way he's driving, because now he's going to look behind. You'll see Morgan Burkhardt now up to 4th, and now there is a definite need to work together right now. That gap is at 9/10 of a second to Jaume Dalmases, who will be desperate to close back up to Ade Koba, who's been keeping his nose out of trouble at the front of this field. So it's all about communication at this point. Burkhardt and Cooper now have to work together to catch the two Spaniards who lead this race 1 and 2.
Yep, and you saw Cooper taking the middle lane into turn number 2, the hairpin there, and that's not the ideal line you want to take, obviously. So I don't think they have the communication figured out yet. I don't think Cooper is trusting Burkhardt behind. I don't think he's relying on the fact that Cooper is gonna stay behind. They need to bump draft. Burkhardt needs to send him a message and that he is willing to cooperate, if he is willing to cooperate.
Oh, Vladislav Shopov from nowhere, a huge slide. Oh, and he gets hit behind by Antony. Both of them spin out.
What a luck for the Bulgarian driver. And not a good thing at all. Shopov and at least dropping a lot of positions, very much damaged, and collecting somebody else. And that promotes the Italian Pagnan all the way into top 5.
Marcelo Pagnan up into 5th position will be very happy. There is Fernando Antony, who now knows his championship is over. Just like that, he was pretty much one of the odds-on favourites for today, and he will leave with nothing after that, and you can sense the frustration as he has found himself out of this race. They all charge forward and try and find those spaces. There's Lars Fischer out there at the moment with Marcelo Pagnan, 5th and 6th for these two quiet drivers, keeping themselves in the fray.
Yeah, and behind them it's the Sampaio family, father and son. You can see the numbers there. That's their starting positions, 15th and 22nd. They made themselves well into top 10, rising up into the fray. But here you can see what happened to Shopov, just going in and breaking in the sand. And when you break in the sand, you lose the back end, and just nothing Antoli could do there. Really, just running into the back. You got a windshield full of smoke. You don't really see anything. And the car in front is sliding, and you're not quite sure where they're going. You want to go from the rear in that case. Round the outside is the typical strategy. But if you get a snap back on the slide, if you overcorrect the slide, the car can shoot to the right. And I think that's what made the Spaniard Antoli really second guess his decision. So he was kind of just running into the back, unable to make the right decision in a very, very difficult situation.
I think the issue there was that Vladi Shopov was actually starting to get that massive kick of grip back to try and recover the car forward. If that car had kept sliding about to the inside of the circuit, Antony was free. He's unlucky. Race continues. 24 minutes, 7 seconds left in the grand final here, the world final of your Simify MX5 World Sim Series. And at this moment, it is now 3 once again to the front. Koba Dalmases and Jason Cooper has pulled out a fantastic couple of laps to pull himself back into range here at the front.
Yeah, and crucially, Dalmases was able to stay with Koba. At one moment it looked bad because Koba and Dalmases were half a second apart from each other. They were not really fighting, but you can see now Koba having to defend the inside into turn number 2, and as a result of that, Dalmases catching up a little bit, and Cooper is able to use those slower laps from the cars in front in order to catch up, use that free air, and if the battling continues, that's gonna pull Burkhardt, Pagnan and Fischer all the way into the fray. So we still got 6 drivers as of right now potentially in the mix.
Here we go. To the outside, we'll search Jaume Dalmases. I have never seen Ade Koba this defensive in a race before. This is very counter Koba in terms of the way he's driving. Defends the line again up the hill in towards turn 6. He's driving scared.
Yeah, he's maybe letting the pressure get to him, and he also doesn't want to get swallowed into the mid pack, so to speak. He wants to be in front, where he only has to worry about the cars behind, and I get that. I totally do, because we also saw what happened to his countryman just a couple of laps earlier. Got sucked away from the 2nd place, dropped into 5th, dropped into 8th, ran into the side of a Bulgarian driver, Shopov, and out of the race. So he's even more scared of that, but I'm surprised he's defending this heavily with 22 minutes to go, especially when you got multiple drivers behind you. That's the sort of situation where at some point you are going to invite trouble. I would still say, if I was the crew chief there, if I was on the pit wall, I'd say, look, If Dalmases wants to make the move, let him make the move. Let him lead the race for a while and try to work with him. But
and to the outside again, Jaume Dalmases will search, and he will not find it at the Andretti hairpin turn 2 on this circuit. A lap ago, this was a group of 1, then a group of 2. Now it's suddenly a group of 5 behind Ade Koba, because the work that's been done by the blinking Morgan Burkhardt, by Marcelo Pagnan, by Lars Fischer, they are there. They have made it to this group, and it's crucial for them because it puts themselves with an opportunity. Another heavy defense goes to the inside here at 4. Dalmases trying to pinch Ade Koba down low. He's going to run out of road on the outside line. Jason Cooper might get a very nice run. He might even decide to try and push Koba covers off into the one-line suits all left-hander up the hill onto the Rahal straight.
Yeah, I think Cooper was looking to get a great run on the rail straight, but he couldn't lift off as much as he wanted to because Burkhardt was right behind him, and he was worried about Burkhardt maybe going for a move and ruining his run and costing him a position. So it's all very tactical here, all very strategic, and what Cooper wants is enough of a gap between himself and Dalmases, as funny as that sounds, couple of tenths. So when those guys for the lead go side by side, he can utilize the exit and pass them both on one go.
Or try it now here and get a run off of the exit of the corner. He again looks so strong. Does Jaume Dalmases, and Ade Koba realizes he wants to lead every single lap here from the front. He had a runaway 4 years ago. He's not getting the same here at this point. Dalmases again will try the outside line, trying to make this magic happen. Searching around for it. He slides though through the corner. Just about gathers it back up to stop Jason Cooper, but it gives respite to the tune of half a second.
Absolutely, Koba will utilize that respite. He will love the chance to breathe. Oh.
Jameson Sampaio now has had to dive down in through the pit. It looks like he's taken tyres and gone through. Are they going to be in a situation where they're going to be close on fuel?
Potentially, because both of those guys just pitted. Enzo and Jamison Sampaio both went into the pit lane, and maybe it is a fuel situation. We'll keep on monitoring that as the race goes along, but if so, the guys with the small amount of aero damage might have to pit a little bit earlier than the guys with a clean car at this moment in time. Now you can see the draft working there, and Dalmases working, trying to close that gap once again from half a second all the way back to the rear bumper of Koba.
Well, now they are inside what they would consider is a regular race over the course of this season. With 19 minutes to go, they are now back into familiar territory. Here is the GSRC replay. So this is up the hill. This is Adam McNally's race finding itself to a terminal conclusion here. Up the hill, into the corkscrew, trying to get the Excite car through, just locks it up, spins it round, realises that this isn't really working for me. Maybe some damage onto the front or the underside of the car, and that is that for Adam McNally. His day is done.
Yeah, shame for him, just losing control, and that happens so easily. I mean, from the broadcast views, this looks like a bit of a slow car, it looks like a wide track, it looks easy from the broadcast point of view. Let me tell you what, it's not easy at all, especially down the hill from the corkscrew. You're all the time at the limit of the grip, you're working the car, you're going with the steering wheel straight, turning into turn number 9, 10 into turn number 10, you have to just tap the brake and shoot for the apex. Whoa, what a battle.
That was close. Jason Cooper nearly turned down Dalmases on the front of his car with the bump draft. Nearly didn't work, and it took some great car control from Dalmases to hold it together. Ade Koba's putting his car in all the right places, but he is defending, and this is going to have to be some stonewall defense.
Yeah, he's going to have to be strong in this one. No gaps, nothing at all from Ade Koba. Let's see if he can pull that defense off. He's been good so far, but also if he's gonna cover up the inside every time, he's gonna become predictable. Now at which point does Dalmases feel like he has a chance to go for the over-under, get that normal entry and get Koba on the exit? The problem so far is that Cooper is so close behind Dalmases that Dalmases can't really choose his line freely. He can't really be lackadaisical going into the corner. To borrow a word you taught me, Czech.
Absolutely. There are a lot of drivers here who have made some great progress through this race. Miles Owens, I want to give a shout to Miles Owens. He's currently up 12 points at the moment, or 12 places, I should say, as they all dive into the opening corner. Just want to give some love to those drivers who are still trying to make places out there. So 12 places gained for Miles Owens, 16 for Luis Suarez from the back of the field. He's having a great run. So too Edward Gross, up 10 spots.
Yeah, those are some great runs through the field, and especially when you run from the back. If you're Luis Suarez and you start from the back, well, you have nothing to lose, do you? So you have less of pressure, but at the same time, you don't want to make those mistakes either, because you're in there from the back door, and for many drivers, that's like, okay, I'm just going to drive there, but I don't wanna ruin the race of anyone who quote unquote deserves to be here more than me.
It's a long way from the back door to putting your feet up on the living room chair. At this moment in time, there are 6 drivers who want 1 seat, and that is not going to add up. It's a case of if you ain't first, you're last in this sort of race. And right now, Morgan Burkhardt is starting to flex, looking around at the rainy curve. Jason Cooper's going to have to look out behind him. Morgan came to race.
Absolutely did. Has that swagger we often see from drivers across the pond, and he is using that swagger to try and challenge Jason Cooper. It's like going into a bar, or a pub in your case. Going into a pub, finding the biggest guy in the pub, most muscular, meanest looking, and just slamming them right into the face. Clubbing them right in the face and asserting dominance. And that's what Burkhardt is doing. Meanwhile, Dalmases still looking to the outside, still trying to make it work, still can't.
And do not count out Lars Fischer and, of course, Marcelo Pignan in this race. Second group here has formed. This is Shopov, Svetinov, so the 2 negative delta by Beulah's cars are there. And look at this, Pujadas is in there. He's had a good race. He's up 8. Joel Singleton's had a good run. Ewan Bramer, we've hardly talked about him all season. He's having a nice run here today. So too, David Morales.
Yeah, and just a quick shout out to Ari Hado in 15th place. We saw him have that spin earlier on, being able to recover the 15th and 10 seconds behind the car in front. So, I mean, he's been able to keep going and keep his fight on, which is great to see. And here you can see Koba just starting to skid around a little bit. You can see that unoptimal line coming to fray, and there might be a chance here.
There might. They've also got traffic in front in the form of Patrick Cantrell. Little bit of contact up the top of the hill. Dalmases and Koba somehow keep it together. That could have ended in travesty. Ultimately, it gives Koba a bit of breathing room.
Woo! That was so close. Koba getting that tap into the rear right at the wrong time. And as a driver, when you're on the brakes, the car is usually at its lightest in the rear at that point. All the weight is going to the front. So if you tap the rear, that can very easily just turn your car around before you know it. But Koba able to gather it, able to hold on. Dalmases not running into him again, but there was a contact made, and I wonder if that changes the approach for either of these drivers.
Now, the front 4 have all had victories over the course of the regular season here, Ossian. The rear 2 have not, in Marcelo Pignan and Lars Fischer. They've been very happy to take points all season, to give themselves the opportunity. Are they going to hope that the powder keg explodes inside the final 10 as again defensive goes Ade?
Yeah, well, when you are in that situation, when you're in the back of the pack. Oh, and look at that run from Dalmases. That was incredible round the outside.
He had all 4 tyres off the row. He's managed to find an angle to the inside. And of course, there's no instant point limits here today. He has earned that one. They're going to go wing mirror to wing mirror. And Jason Cooper's going to give the push to Jaume Dalmases inside a 6. And just like that, new leader. It's the Zenith Esport driver.
And they're still brushing side by side, and Morgan's going to make it 3 wide.
No, he's
Just
not.
wide.
He's going to back out of that. He didn't want anything of that being 3 wide. Ade Koba around the outside of the corkscrew. Angles it back to the inside. Cooper gets shuffled out, and Koba holds on to second.
Yeah, poor Cooper getting shuffled out once again, but what a move was that from Jaume Dalmases. I mean, all the way into the sand and making it work, realizing he has to force himself if he wants to get that inside line. And that's exactly what happened. That one's going to be replayed over and over and over again, especially if he comes away with a win in this one.
quote-unquote, a pass in the grass to move up to the front of this field. That's going to be huge for Jaume Dalmas's. Ade Koba's got work to do. Lots of blinking going on then by Morgan Burkhardt. That is really going to affect two drivers in particular in this race. Jason Cooper's got to defend from that. And, of course, Marcelo Pignani's got to attack against that.
Yep. How do you attack against something like that? Well, I'm sure he will find a way at some moment in time, but now Koba has gotten himself free from the clutches of Cooper and is looking to get revenge on Dalmases.
He is. He definitely wants to get back forward. We haven't seen Ade Koba try and race this one from behind here today. This is the first time he's been put on the back foot, and now he's going to have to try and settle in and find a way past the Zenith Esport driver there with the number 4 on his car, indicating he was 4th best in the championship and started from 4th position here today. On the brakes into the corkscrew, and there's a little bit of a wide line taken by Jason Cooper. That pushes Morgan Burkhardt out wide, and just like that, the front two almost have an 8/10, if not a second's gap.
Yep, and this is now a chance for them once again to try and get away. Peñan and Fischer, meanwhile, fighting for that 5th place momentarily, and now they have to realize as Burkhardt makes his way to 3rd.
Oh, Cooper's got to slow down.
Back.
Jason Cooper's got to slow down, and the gap is made. It's 1.3 seconds. All of a sudden, one small mistake from Jason Cooper, and it's all there. He had to serve the slowdown penalty. He'll now attack immediately back on Marcelo Peñan.
And I don't think those guys are too happy about, too keen to fight back against Cooper. Cooper got the position relatively easily. I think Peñan and Fischer, they're just looking to hold themselves onto the back of this queue, but none of them will be happy that it broke up. And here you can see a replay of just what happened. No, that's actually further back. That's an ugly situation. Ooh.
That is Edward Gross getting turned around in the Sweat Sim Racing car. I think Ronald Moans would have been the driver that he's tangled with there in the yellow, the owner of Virtual Bell car, so that puts him in a little bit of trouble. But there are your front two, and this is crucial as well. They've got a little pit. They've got Patrick Cantrell right in front of them. They can take the toe from him, build a gap now. It's up to 1.6 to Morgan Burkhardt. It might be these two, Dalmases versus Koba, for the title with 9:45 on the clock.
The two Spaniards and Koba definitely with something between his teeth. Not only those memories from 4 years back, but also that move Dalmases was able to pull off. Let's see if Koba has something to fight back, but I'm also curious. This is the first time we're really able to see what Morgan Burkhardt can really do with this car. What he can really do in terms of pure raw pace. He was stuck in the pack. Let's see if he can catch up to the leaders in these remaining 9 minutes. It's a tall order, but by no means is it impossible.
1.2, so he was able to be quicker on that last lap. 36.8s compared to 36.9s and 37 flats. And with Jaume Dalmases having to defend, Ade Koba searching for the inside then. Off the exit of the Andretti hairpin, slight wiggle. Then from the Zenith driver, has to go hard defensive. They've just let them back in. Oh, it's a golden ticket.
It absolutely is, and you can see there Koba looking to the outside, realizing Dalmases was going to hold off to the inside, getting himself that better exit off the corner. That's very crucial. You can also see lap drivers getting out of the way, doing a very good job of that. And Koba now feinting to the inside. It's like watching a boxing match. You throw shoulder fakes, you throw wrist fakes, you throw body feints, but crucially, at some point, you have to punch.
That was a late decision to not make that move from Ade Koba. He clatters the inside curb and drives a little wide. Out through 6, holds the line together. But they will soon put a one-on-one boxing match and turn it into the Royal Rumble at this moment in time if they're not careful, because they'll put 4 more competitors in the ring with them if they're not too careful with the way they drive.
Yeah, absolutely, and it may only be a 6-man Royal Rumble, but it's still a Royal Rumble, and who is going to throw that clothesline off the top rope and send someone out of the ring? Who is gonna stand in the middle of it and announced as the winner, the champion of 2023? That is going to be all decided within the next 7 minutes and 30 seconds, whether you like it or not. My money is on Burkhardt.
I tell you what, this might actually be a race of 8 and not a race of 6. Just 2 seconds down the road, 2.5 seconds, is Pablo Espes, who has been working like a dog to get back into this one, and he is doing so well with Ronnie Mantiniemi in tow.
Yeah, and I've been looking at those guys, the gap between them. Mantiniemi, to be honest, hasn't been that strong in this race. I say that he's been all the time around the top 10 in terms of pace, doesn't quite have the raw pace to match, but if this turns into the Royal Rumble, as you mentioned, if this turns into a complete melee at the front, then it's anyone's game.
It absolutely is, and now at the moment it is Jaume Dalmases who has the keys to the castle at this point. Ade Koba finds himself on the outside looking in, so too is Morgan Burkhardt and Jason Cooper, who are trying desperately to pull themselves right up onto the rear. 6/10 that gap, there's the look. There at the Aral Thrustmaster helmet, big look to the inside, look out, there goes Ade Koba with a feint, and he can't quite get there, and he's brought those two back into it.
Yeah, that was the Hail Mary he was looking for, looking to the inside at the corkscrew, but now he has to look in the mirrors, and it's gonna be Burkhardt saying hello, or saying howdy, potentially, I'm back, and I brought some friends with me.
I tell you what, if he can go from 11th in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series World Final and win it all, it's the greatest drive in sim racing in 2023. He's got 2 places to find in Ade Koba and Jaume Dalmases, and he very well might pick them off. Here they go on the brakes, in towards turn 1, 5:45 left, and can't find any moves. 6 back together once again.
Yep, it's the 6 guys, and Fisher and Pagnan. They've been looking behind this pack all the time. They've been just biding their time, not being too aggressive against the guys in front. Whether it's because they can't or because they don't want to take the chance. I'm not quite sure. I think it's a bit of both. But they're letting these 4 battle, and it might be the winning strategy because Dalmases and Koba, neither of them are looking like they want to give this one easy. Of course you don't, it's the World Finals, but it's even more spicy than usual. And here's Burkhardt with that crushed nose in his car, looking to make those moves, and Jason Cooper, he's made it to the back of this queue as well, and he's been the fastest driver all season. So we got a lot of horses in this race.
There are a lot of horses, and there's horses for courses. At this moment, the bulk of the victories were split between these 4 drivers this season. The only driver who I think's been able to pick up a victory outside these was Fernando Anthony. Wide goes Ade Koba. He'll now have to defend here through turn 10 and give Dalmases a chance to break away. 0.4 of a second. Wide runs Morgan Burkhardt, and he'll have to give that one up here. Jason Cooper picks one off. He now finds himself 3rd.
And good exit from Cooper as well. And I think Burkhardt was very clever in realizing, okay, I've run wide, I got Cooper to the side of me, I'm not gonna challenge it into the last corner, instead let Cooper go. I think he's gonna use Cooper as a bit of a snowplow here, in that Cooper's gonna make those moves, Burkhardt is gonna follow through, if not, then potentially he has a chance to pick up the pieces once it all comes together. But now Koba has half a second to make up. Not impossible, not by any means, but it is still a gap, and it is allowing Dalmases to breathe and contemplate his next move. A blessing, but it might also be a curse.
I tell you what, Morgan Burkhardt is using all of his SCCA experience. That was why he was missing for a number of rounds in the summer. He couldn't get through because he was racing in the SCCA in a variety of machinery. Did so well in the SCCA runoffs in the autumn, and that run that he's having at this moment in time, he wants to try and get himself back up, but they have to catch Jaume Dalmases. Half a second's not impossible, but they're going to need the tow now on every straight between now and the end of these 3 minutes and 18 seconds.
And imagine what happens once they finally catch up. Once Koba makes that move, it's all the cards are in Koba's hand right now. He gets to decide when to make that move. Is he gonna leave it as late as possible and risk potentially getting passed by Cooper, even by Burkhardt, or is he gonna go for the first gap he sees? A little bit slow in the penultimate corner was Koba. Now trying to catch up in the last corner once again, but not quite as optimal is his cornering grip as perhaps in the start of this race. He could be suffering from these tires.
Yeah, and that's not been a factor all season. You've had to manage the tyres, and suddenly Jaume Dalmases has 0.6 of a second. Is there a look from Jason Cooper? There are 2 laps left. in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series season, and all of a sudden, they might start looking at each other here. Jaime Dalmases might be getting a VIP ticket here to the crown.
Yeah, and the Spanish cooperation. Oh, and that's big slide from Koba, and just returning back to the racing line. Very sharp turn, trying to fend off Kupa, trying to fend off Burkhardt, and that's Burkhardt sliding a little bit at the exit of turn number 4, potentially allowing chance for Panyan from behind.
Another one for Jason Cooper, and this one will be the death knell in the coffin for him, because he will know that he is out of contention. So too now you must say at this point is Marcelo Panyan, you must say is Lars Fischer, and now it will rely on a mistake. Surely that gap at 9/10 for Jaime Dalmases, he can taste it at the corkscrew.
Yeah, Koba has to gather himself back. He has to put in the laps at this moment in time, but can he do it? If you don't have the equipment, if you don't have the tires anymore, then you just can't suddenly summon the grip either. And you can see in these downhill corners, he's struggling. He has to be a lot more tentative than he would normally be, and Burkhardt is all over him, just cannot make that move. And Dalmases, meanwhile, he is running away. He's looking behind him and he can't believe it.
He can't believe his luck. Barney the Flagman will wait for the white flag in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series World Final. It is now on for second as Morgan Burkhardt, who started in 11th place here tonight, is going to find himself now looking for second position when everything is said and done. There's one driver who has started from 11th this season and has won the race outright. It's that driver who's right in front of him in Ade Koba through turn 3 towards turn 4. That gap now 1.1 seconds, and it is agonizing at this moment. The rubber band is creaking and soon it will snap. Wide goes Panyan behind there in 5th position, and now as they run here in towards turn number 5, out on track, up the hill they will look. It's now going to be a case of, I think, they're relying on a mistake out of Jaime Dalmases. It's not impossible, it's not improbable, it is improbable, but at this moment in time, these drivers are now looking at second best, and that's all they have left. Up the hill, looking for the corkscrew. This is the last great place to make a move. Small searches to the inside, they are not there. 3 corners remain in this season for Jaime Dalmases, for him to hold on for one of the most important wins in his sim racing career. He started the season at turn 1 at Okayama by putting the car off the road. He knows how hard he has had to work to get himself back through. A late lunch by Burkhardt is going to do nothing for second. Jaime Dalmases will come to the line, and he finds himself a world champion as he takes the Simify MX5 World Sim Series title.
Wow, 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 and what a move it came with. That move he made on Ade Koba, just incredible bravery, incredible commitment. We're watching rest of these drivers finish, including Luis Suarez in car number 40, getting the backdoor entry into this series, and is gonna finish in a great position here, 25th right now, head of the car number 25, and that of course would be Alle Kivisto here in 26th position, and they are going to finish off these cars on the lead lap. Couple of more still to go, but I just can't get over, Jake. I can't get over that move by Dalmases. That's the kind of move you decide a championship with, and he did exactly that. Just unbelievable.
A pass in the grass, and we'll have a drag race here between Cavisto and Luis Suarez, and Cavisto is going to steal it on the line by 16 thousandths of a second. Suarez will be robbed of 25th place. It'll be 26th for him, but some amazing racing up and down the order. We're going to step aside for one moment here with Global SimRacing Channel. When we come back, post-race fallout of the World Final is with us here. You're watching the Simify MX5 World Sim Series World Final here from the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca.
A tall glass of water too.
A world final that pretty much lived up to the billing. We knew it was going to be a close-fought race. We knew that all of the stakes were going to be raised. It was about who could find what at the end of all of this. Jaume Dalmases is the world champion. His start from 4th position on the grid was enough, and he picks it up by 1.3 seconds over Ade Koba, who drove a very defensive race but couldn't quite get it over the line at the end. Morgan Burkhart from 11th position on the grid will feel with the pace that he had today that a couple more rounds would have given him a better opportunity. It's still a fantastic 3rd overall as he finishes ahead of Jason Cooper, who found himself pretty much beguiled by slowdown penalties all race long. Marcelo Pignan 5th and Lars Fischer well-deserved 5th and 6th places respectively. Pablo Espes worked hard to get that 7th place after his spin took him out of contention, with Ronnie Mantignemi, Vladislav Shopov and a great run by Oscar Pajadas rounding out the top 10.
Joel Singleton finishing in 11th position ahead of Ivan Bremer and David Morales. Then it's Jordanin Tsvenatov in 14th, Ari Hatter in 15th, and 10 the father and son Jamison Sampaio and Enzo Sampaio 16th and 17th after taking a pit stop mid-race. Miles Owens in 18th, Trevor Roy 19th, and you got David Chapman rounding out the top 20.
Over the page then, 21st for Tero Tillis, who did a decent job here today. So too Ronald Moans, who had a little bit of contact there with Edouard Gross. So not much that could be done between those two. They'll finish 22nd and 23rd. Eugenio Pulici will be 24th with Cali Cavisto 25th. That then follows Luis Suarez, who got himself, I would say, a wild card invitation to this final and got himself 26th from it, with Carl Jacquelet and Stefan Alderding 27th and 28th. Roberto Bruno would be 29th, and the Jamaican driver Charles Kellyman would be the finisher in 30th.
Yep, got the rest of these drivers here as well. Sandavare, Martin Sampson, and then Alexandre Longo, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. You got Patrick Cantrell and Tom Daly 1 lap down in the list of retirements. Adam McNally, Pedro Marimon, Fernando Antoli, Lawrence Sebastian, and Adam Delmont. The 40-driver grid. Heartbreak for Antoli, but great cheers for our winners, Jake. We hyped it up a lot pre-race, but it lived up to it and then some.
Jaume Dalmases is absolutely a deserving champion. The way that he has had to fight from pretty much turn 1, going off the road with a pole position at Okayama. He's had to really work to get back. His summer completely unmatched in terms of pace. And when he's needed it the most, after a little bit of a wobbly and wavy autumn, he's found a way back in December and finds himself with the crown. A deserving champion of the Simify MX5 World Sim Series, and that we can say with certainty. We're going to take the chance, though, to talk to a couple of drivers who have the ability to jump in with us. Morgan Burkhart joins us right now. Morgan, 11th to 3rd in the world final is nothing to shake a stick at. You threw everything you had at the table, but it looked like when the time came to it, there just wasn't quite enough of a gap there for you to chase down the top 2.
No, definitely not. I think I was playing it really passive and saving tire pretty much all the races, because most of our races have been 25 minutes, and this you have to go an extra 20 minutes. So being really cautious and using the draft to kind of just sit there and not use up all the tire before the final few laps. And I think it worked out well. I had better tire than both Wami and Ade in the final couple laps, but I didn't put myself in the right place at the right time to get him before the line.
It's been a brilliant recovery for you in the final couple rounds of the championship to get yourself in from a position. You were down in 26th place with 2 rounds to go. You managed to gain 15 places with the way that the drops work and the points hauls that you've had, the victory that you had 2 rounds ago, that put you up into the position of 11th. Do you feel that with the real-world commitments that you've had with the SCCA, that not only does it prove to be an incredible tool for you to develop when it comes to sim racing, but not only that, do you feel like it's been a double-edged sword that it's taken you away from scoring a couple of points in this championship?
Yeah, definitely. I think the real world aspect helps a lot with the sim racing. I'm able to make a lot better decisions is kind of how to put it. I have a lot of racecraft experience in the real world, and it's just tuning that sword more often than maybe some of the other people. So it's definitely a big help, and it is annoying when well, not annoying. I like driving race cars in the real world, but When I'm pulled away doing that, to not be able to compete in all the rounds makes it a little bit difficult. You've got to be really perfect in pretty much every event that you show up in, because your drop rounds are the ones that you're gone. So you can't really afford to have a bad round.
Let's talk 2024 then, just on the horizon for you as a driver. There are going to be a couple changes in terms of how the calendar looks going into it, but a fantastic calendar that awaits for those who want to try and book their place in the World Final. For you as a driver, being so close to the top of the mountain here, are you gunning for that P1 when it comes to 1 year from now?
Yes, this is a short answer. I'd love to be on the top step again. I think we've got some really good pace, and I've got this car sorted out really well. But I'm going to be competing in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge in the real world and TCR next year. So a lot of my time is going to be devoted to that and focusing on real world activities. So I'm not sure how many of the rounds I'm going to be able to make.
Well, it is a very admirable run that you will have in 2024, and a massive congratulations to all of us at the Global SimRacing Channel for finding that seat. But Morgan, before we let you go, third place, anybody you'd like to thank?
For sure, I'd like to thank Sander for putting on the whole series. It's been amazing all year. The depth of talent in this field is ridiculous. On any given weekend, there's 9 people that can win the race, so it's really hard to come up and compete. But other than that, I'd like to thank the whole parallel racing group for support. And I know I had a lot of people watching all along today and wishing me well, so a big shout out to them.
Morgan Burkhart there joining us, third position in what is an incredible drive for him and his run up forward. Too short of what he wanted, but sometimes that's the way it is. We are now going to jump in and have a chance to talk with Sander Vara, who is, of course, the organizer here of the Simplify MX5 World Sim Series. Sander, an absolutely incredible final, first and foremost, that we've had to watch here today in terms of the action that we've had at the front and all the way throughout this field. Over the course of the season, the many races that have been put together for a first season, how has it been for you from an organizational standpoint and putting together a world-class series?
Well, first of all, thanks. I think it was a great year. It is sometimes a bit challenging to manage all these drivers, and of course there will always be incident in races. And as I now read in the Discord, I haven't seen the race, obviously, because I was racing, but there will always be incidents, and that people will always be upset here and there. So that's a bit probably the biggest challenge, to keep everyone calm and happy and at least content with how the races are going. Next year we will be a little, as I told you guys last time, also we will be a little sharper on the penalties, but also not too much, as we have to keep it open to race. But in general, it's of course it's a lot of work, but it's fun to do, and I think we have created a series where every level of iRacing can have fun, and that was the objective. So in that sense, I'm very happy.
In terms of the way that this championship has been won, with Jaume Dalmasses pulling off a fantastic pass in the grass to pick up this title, the World Final was always expected to be this race where everyone's going to throw it all on the line. There is going to be a case of drivers being aggressive, drivers being defensive, always looking to try and preserve what they've got. In terms of how you look at this just as a race, how important do you feel it was that the drivers that were here had an opportunity to showcase themselves and really put their best foot forward to why sim racing is truly the greatest form of racing at the moment?
Yeah, it's also, like I said last time, it's a bit the Super Bowl, this race. This is the one race that you have to give it your all, and everyone does so, of course. And it's also, sometimes all or nothing. You know that you're going to give it your all, and you can end up with nothing, which is in any race is the case. But now when it's, when let's say the title is on the line, it's a little bit more tense. But I have to watch the move back. But in general, I feel that it's important that people are free to take these risks without, of course, being too aggressive. That is part of racing.
Let's open up then towards 2024 with the Simify MX5 World Sim Series, because the championship branches off in two different directions for next year. Of course, there is the brand new open category, which runs the same tracks as that free-to-enter championship that will give drivers 10 spots on the back of the world final grid if they find themselves inside the top 10 of that championship, a chance to really cut your teeth through that way. But then, of course, you've got the all new different tracks that are being run for the brand new championship that is jumping up forward for 2024. What does that split mean for you, Sander, in terms of the running of this series?
Well, it's again just trying to keep everyone satisfied. We noticed during the year that there was a tendency for people wanting new tracks, and there are so many epic tracks on iRacing. So not only the subscription-based tracks, that's why we opened it up, but we also will still want to cater those races for maybe the drivers who don't want to invest a whole lot of money into buying new tracks. So they also still the Club Cup maintains that club feel and that subscription-based content. So it's a bit trying to cater everyone, and that has always been the challenge for and the goal for this championship, having the best of the world in there, and also the drivers who are just mainly having fun, but can at the same time measure themselves against those best in the world. So that has been the goal, and I think that goal has been reached. As again, there will always be some negatives to this concept, but in general, I'm very pleased with the result, and hopefully we will see another big grids next year. There are 100 seats available in the MX5 World Sim Series as we know it now, with the new tracks, and 50 seats in the Club Cup. So hopefully many people will sign up as of tomorrow.
As of tomorrow. So if you have loved this series and want to get yourself involved in something as incredible as this, now is your chance to jump on and get on with the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. Sander, before we let you go and deal with the fallout of this series, is there anybody you'd like to thank in terms of the course of the season and all the hard work that's been done behind the scenes?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to start with all the drivers involved, everyone, also the drivers that maybe today are a little bit upset. I really want to thank them all for their commitment, and hopefully they had a lot of fun also. Just for the amazing level shown. I think we really had the best of the best in the series, and also the best of the best as a group, because there was so much camaraderie. And I really want to thank Simify, the main sponsor or the sponsor of the MX5 World Sim Series, a brand that has started in the sim racing world not so long ago and is really growing explosively. Here in Spain, they are, as you know, I'm a Dutchman living in Spain, and they are really the go-to web shop, and they are everywhere, and they are really putting themselves forward as a top sim racing team also. So just a great brand, and again, I would urge everyone to go to the website and use the discount code MX5WSS if you want to purchase something, because it's really great people to work with.
Well, the pleasure is all ours. Sander Navarro joining us then, the owner here, of course, of this incredible Simify MX5 World Sim Series. Ossian, your final thoughts. A 2023 that brings to a close an incredible series of racing, a 2024 that awaits beautifully on the horizon.
Yeah, I mean, if this is the standard that these drivers are setting in the final, then it's gonna also showcase what a good series it's going to be for next year too. It's going to show to many drivers who were maybe stuck as spectators this year that, okay, this is a series that is best taken seriously. And as a result of that, they will gravitate in, they will try to make their way into the final, and as the series grows, the reputation grows as well, and we'll see an even bigger, even better, an even stronger final next year. That's my thought, because this is the kind of thing, it just can't miss sim racing. It is the sort of sim racing that makes our hearts flutter and reminds us why we fell in love with this sport in the first place.
Want to give a massive thanks to everyone of the team that's got it done today, from Ossian, from Mike, and from Dougie. You can catch all of the equipment that has been used to create this broadcast here on your screen right now, including the music by June Lalonde. If you haven't had a chance to catch that already, you can do so at junelalonde.bandcamp.com and get a chance to listen in on some truly great musical action that is there. In terms of our sim racing action, we are into week 1 of 2024, and that means that there are many rounds on the horizon. The likes of the Triple Classics are still going to be going on all around Christmas, so make sure that you join in for all of those. You can catch us as well on our social media via X, via Facebook, via Instagram, as well as our brilliant website, globalsimracingchannel.com, and our merch store, gsrc.storeenvy.com, if you haven't had the chance to already. This series will be back in 2024 with drivers old and new looking to put themselves a brand new champion who is on the horizon. His name is Jaume Dalmases, and he proves that determination is what you need to go and succeed. From off the road at turn 1, he is the champion for 2023. Jaume Dalmases, your Simify MX5 World Sim Series champion. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we will see you in 2024.